Welcome back to the Love Solutions podcast. This is your girl Sayani,
Welcome back, everybody. It's your girl, Daria Marie.
and today's topic, or what is it that I don't know if you watch this sports channel, but he says, "Where however you may be listening, wherever you may be, welcome to the show." And I love that. I'm like, I'm gonna tell Daria about that.
Well, we need to put our own spin on it, but I love it because it targets just anybody and everybody. Because as you all know, this is a judgment-free zone. Everybody here is welcome. So yes, exactly.
Yes. And the topic is solutions, okay? Solutions on avoiding double standards in a relationship. So, how do we feel about double standards?
So I feel like just off the rip, anything that someone is going to ask you to do in a relationship, it should just be known that they're going to bring the same energy or abide by the same quote unquote rules, if you will. I also think that if someone is asking you to do something that you find unrealistic or unfair, then that should automatically just be a red flag for you.
Agreed. So, double standards are believed to develop in people's minds. So, based on their own personal excuses that they want to, tell themselves and also put their beliefs before facts. And that's part of it as well. So if they don't agree with what you're saying, they're still going to act on whatever it is they feel like acting on. Like, well, you know what? I'm going to blow up your phone all I want, but you can't do that to me because I have a problem with that. And that's where problems begin.
Or it's okay, so that would be a double standard within the relationship, like meaning you can do something to me but I can't do it to you. When I think of double standards, a lot of times my mind goes to like the way someone acts with other people outside of the relationship. So for example, like
Right.
I don't want you following such and such types of people, or liking, commenting, or talking to people in the gym, like whatever sort of commentary you want to put in there. And then when they go and do the opposite, you know?
Right. Exactly. And that's what's here. It says a double standard is a rule or principle that is unfairly applied in different ways to different people or groups. And in intimate relationship, this usually occurs when one partner has expectations of the other that they fail to apply themselves, which you just
Right.
said.
Mm-hmm.
But it also can manifest in many ways. So it can manifest from money matters, dressing habits, to intimacy behaviors and roles within a family. Wow, that's a list.
You want to hear, so in conversations that I've had with people, gotten the question like, you dress like that in the gym? Or how many, I love this one, how many guys try to talk to you in the gym? So for me, it's like that, like, is like it's kind of like an orange flag. Like, it's not all the way a red flag because it could really just be like a flirtatious, genuine question, or
Right.
it's alluding to like jealous tendencies. Like, I kind of get that in there. You know what I mean? Um,
Right.
Mind you, you're wearing that to the gym. I'm wearing pants and a sports bra. I don't wear like booty shorts that have my booty out. Like a little bit of like my stomach is showing. I wear a lot of crops. But gym sports bra and leggings and sneakers, like how much more clothes can I have on? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But guys don't really get ridiculed or judged for what they want to wear in the gym. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. So that's a double standard.
The topic is double standards in relationship, Mr. Heal Yourself. So yeah, so I feel like if it were me and someone was saying something, like I would ask like, what's a hard no for you? Or like, what's something that if I were to do this in the relationship that would make you question being with me? So I feel like there's healthy ways to have these conversations and to bring these topics to the light when you're talking with somebody, because you want to avoid, surfacing triggers for somebody. Like, I don't want to do
Right.
something trigger.
Right.
So I think rather than saying like, I don't want you doing this, or like you're not allowed to do things like this. Like, I'm not your child, you're not my parent. This is a cohesive relationship where it's something that we have to talk, and there should be like some background knowledge as to why you have certain expectations in a relationship. That's my opinion. Like, I feel this way, or I would be bothered by this because such and such.
Right. And I agree. So Mr. Heal Yourself said hanging out with male friends is a huge no.
We got to talk about this.
Of course. So I am going to say, Mr. Heal Yourself, Davy Dave in the house. Shout out to Davy Dave. I will say that I have male friends. Daria, you have male friends. Now, I feel like this actually depends on the comfortability and the trust that you have in your relationship. My man has friends that are female friends. And they've been in his life way before I came into the picture, and vice versa. If we have an understanding that there's boundaries that should not be crossed, and you trust in me, and I'm talking about, I'm bringing you around my friends, he's bringing me around his friends, there shouldn't be a problem. Now, if there's some flirting going on, or there's some type of activity that you don't know, that some type of action or behavior that you don't agree with, I hear you. I absolutely agree. Then no, because if I was to act that way, vice versa, if I was to act that way towards my male friends, and I'm over here telling my man he can't act like that with his female friends, then we have an issue. And that's what hypocrisy is. That's part of it, because you can't say, well, you know what, I'm going to turn up and I'm going to act out because that's just who I am and that's what it is. Once your partner starts doing that, you tell them there's something wrong with them, yet you're doing it yourself. So how do we fix that? How do we avoid that?
So there's two things that were said that I want to comment on. First of all, laughing my ass off at the want male friends, get a brother, uncle, or father, done. And honestly, I feel like at this point in my life, like, I don't even really have time for my girlfriends. Like, you're one of my closest friends, and we barely have time to see each other and get together. So if I'm really dedicating an amount of time to someone, like, we're going to go to Eddie's baby shower, right? Like, Eddie's one of our boys, you know? Right. So, like, that's like a group event that we're all invited to, where we're going to spend time together. But as far as like one-on-one time, I feel like unless I'm dating you or there's potential for some sort of like intimate relationship, I'm not just going to like chill with like male friends anymore, unless like we're just in the gym working out, we see each other, whatever, chop it up. But I feel like between your work, your family life, your alone time, as well as your dating life, or if you're in a relationship, it's really hard to find that time, especially at this point in your life. Now, there was a point in my life where my best guy friend and I, like, we would go to dinner together, just me and him. He would come over and like chill with me and my sister, and we would eat and whatever. And like, he was like a brother to me. Mm-hmm. But I remember I brought that up on one of our previous lives when we were talking on love conflicts about platonic friends. And that goes to this comment where he said, if he's attracted to you, it's a different type of friend. And Mr. Heal Yourself said 9 out of 10 of these are male friends that were friend zoned, and us men know how men think. Now, I've been getting this a lot, where it's men stay your friend because that's the category that you're allowing them in, and they don't have the option to go further with you. So therefore, they just stay your quote unquote friend. But if they had the opportunity to, they would push the envelope and they would, you know, take it to another level with you. You were like a stepsister to him, fucking screaming. So, like, and that's the thing. I remember Eddie was like, yo, if you have a little too much to drink or you go through a breakup, remember? And I was like, okay, Rick Ross, relax, like, calm down. Like,
I remember.
Because he's like, put Molly on a champagne. She ain't even know it. I'm like, listen, calm down. But
Right.
no, for real. And it's funny because that conversation prompted me to ask my brother if I was like, if it came down to it, I wanted to, would you get with me like that? And he was like, absolutely. And I was like, fuck. Eddie was right. So platonic friends, I'm sorry.
Woo!
You know that because I was arguing down with Eddie about this. I was like, no, you're wrong. It is possible for guys and girls to be friends. Stop, you're wrong. And
Right.
he wound up really, really holding on to that you're right validity, because when I did my research, I was like, what? And then I couldn't look at him the same after that. I was like, are you serious? What? You
Well,
would
I do believe that there for it can happen to both, but I feel like to us women it happens the most where we are friends with these guys. I mean, we grew up with them, right? Our brothers. We're calling them our brothers. Like this is the broski, like we good. But when you really come down to think about it, yeah. It's crazy like you asking someone that was like your best friend at the time, and you're not thinking anything of it, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I would try to holla.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to they kind of take what you give them, it's like when you open that window of opportunity, are you going to take it or not? Because do you actually value the friendship, or do you see
Right.
something further with this person?
Right.
Um, so it goes to that. So and someone else said on here earlier, because we know how men think, and that's something that I feel like we as women can't really relate to, but
No.
I've
Right.
educated enough and I've had enough conversations with men about how men think and what really truly goes through their mind, especially if they're attracted to you. So you could be like, oh no, they're just being nice, or oh no, we're just friends. But the man who you're saying that to knows in his head that if homie wanted to slide, he would slide. If you would give him that opportunity, he would, you
Well,
know?
it's true because I that's something that my man had to actually teach me about, because in my mind I'm not looking at it in that way, but because he's a man and he sees certain behavior that I'm not catching, that I'm not paying attention, I'm not listening to that. The way I'm looking at it is, oh, I'm just doing business with someone, but in all reality, no, that guy was trying to talk to me, and it was there. But as women, especially women in business, right, I'm just going to talk about that because you're a businesswoman yourself. The way you're looking at it, oh, this is just business, when in all reality this guy could actually be trying to get to you, trying to talk to you, and you just over here like, oh, it's not even about that. But I do believe that men do, of course, know how men think, just like how we know women think. And
Exactly.
I wanted to get back to this. I wanted to get to this. Husky Chipmunk 75 said, women doing the bare minimum in a relationship, but want the man to do everything. I am going to say I've been guilty of that. I've been guilty of stating, I don't like when you do this, but yet I'm doing it.
Ooh.
I don't like that you talk this way to me, but yet I'm doing it. I don't like when you do this, and then it's like, but I'm doing it. And you know how I was able to know that? Because there's a research that says you don't really, it sometimes is unintentional. You don't even know that you're doing it, because these are also, so it says here, we unconsciously learn two standards in early childhood. And you know about early childhood, D, from our emotional conditioning by parents. So it comes from our parents and how the things that we see, and it's true. And I thought about it and I'm like, wait a minute. I do things that sometimes that is a mix of both my mom and my dad, and they are double standards. They are. I agree. But I had to work on that. And that's something that my man would point it out. He would point it out. He'd be like, listen, don't be talking about you don't like when I do this, but have you noticed you've been doing that? I'm like, really? And I sit there and I'm like, wait a minute. No, he's right. He's absolutely right.
I
Because
think what you're doing with that is you're deflecting,
that's
because
exactly where I was getting to. Go
I've
ahead, babe.
ever heard about like people that like accuse you of cheating the whole time. It's because they're guilty of it themselves. Like, or if they're
Right.
like looking through your phone because they have a feeling, or they're trying to catch you doing something, or they feel like you're doing something behind their back, it's 9 times out of 10 because that's what they're doing to you behind your back. So they have a guilty conscience and they're deflecting it onto you.
Right. Right. And one of the solutions that I read in this research was the communication, having a safe place in your relationship where you're able to communicate to your partner and let them know freely and openly, hey, do you know there's some double standards going on here and we need to work on that. Some people don't know how to take that. Some people are just like, nah, this is what it is and that's it. Deal with it. That's not going to work though. In a relationship, it really takes two. And if double standards, just like infidelity kills, money problems kills relationships and marriages, and yeah, double standards does too. And it was a
So
surprise. It was a surprise because when you really think about it, if you don't do the work in any relationship, whether it's a friendship, if you don't do the work at all, you're gonna have to really be like, listen, I don't know, but Mr. Heal Yourself said it,
that's what
self-reflection.
I say. As you were talking, he said it as you were saying it, and it's so important because you're talking about doing the work. So instead of, and it's okay to have boundaries, and it's okay to have standards, and it's okay to have things that when someone does them to you, it triggers a negative emotion, and you should be able to name those feelings and be able to talk about them freely and openly with your partner and not feel like they're going to gaslight you for it and throw it in your face. So when
Right,
you do that self-reflection, like, certain things that men do trigger things for me, and it's because of things I've experienced in my past. It's because
right,
I've experienced in my childhood and in my previous relationships that are triggers for me. So if you're going to do that to me in a relationship, I'm either going to emotionally remove myself, or I'm going to feel like I have to defend myself in a way. So it's totally fine to be able to talk about things, but it can't be a double standard. So
nope,
it can't be something that you're going to continue to do and expect your significant other not to do it to you.
right, right. And that actually kills a relationship, believe it or not, because then you start to resent. You begin to resent, and if I can't express myself to you and tell you, listen, what you're doing is hurting my feelings. I feel, and you start there, and someone stops you and they're like, oh, no, wait a minute. I was just having a conversation with a client this afternoon. We were doing our progress check in. She's doing the 4-week program. This is now going on her 4th week. And it's a 4-week program on repairing your self esteem. And one of the things that she was mentioning to me was about a double standard with this guy that she's dating. And it's only been 2, 3 months, and she's already becoming uninterested because of the double standards.
Mm.
She took a love language test because that's part of the program. I take you down some roads that you wouldn't think, oh wow, like I have to do this. But it's great because she was able to self-reflect. These are things that I had to teach myself, but there was still more work that I needed to do. That I needed to be like, okay, wait a minute. This is something I need to work on. And I'm able to do that. I'm able to communicate. But if you're not able to communicate with your partner and this person just keeps talking about, oh, we'll talk about it later. Oh, you're just being extra. Oh, you're just exaggerating. Guess what? That person is going to no longer want to be with you. That person's no longer going to want to come to you and talk to you about absolutely like anything. They're going to feel like they can't talk to you or express themselves, even if it's the greatest day of their life and they just had great news. I can't talk to this person because for what? So that's very important. But
Yeah,
I want
I feel like also if you find that you if you feel like the other person is being unreasonable, or if you feel like someone said communicate with empathy, if you aren't able and capable to communicate with this person with empathy, or be able to remotely see the logic or reasoning behind what someone's doing. Now, people may have expectations in a relationship that are completely unrealistic and are very selfish. So that is also something that you should probably assess, because that person just may not be for you. Because if you can't see or understand or empathize or relate or feel like you can comply with certain things, and it kind of like, goes against what you feel you want to do in a relationship, that's another,
right.
this person may not be compatible with you. So
Yep.
some solutions. Let's give them some solutions, baby girl. What do you think?
So
Realistic,
definitely,
exactly.
yeah, definitely. That's another one. Unrealistic expectations. That's why a lot of people are still single. A lot of people are still single because of unrealistic expectations. Is the truth. You meet somebody, and in today's world, right? I feel like you and I we are very different from this dating world today. And our mentality, the way we think when it comes to getting to know someone, what exactly it is that we expect. What do we think they expect from us? Are we being realistic? These are things that I feel like you and I thought about. I mean, we still think about, where it's like, am I being fair? Am I expecting too much?
We
Sometimes you might not be.
time. We always talk about it.
I'm sorry, babe.
We always talk about it all the time, me and you.
Right, right. And it's so true. I mean, a whole a whole matchmaker quit because of this. And it was because of women. She couldn't do it. She was like, this is not realistic. These women are asking of things that, for me, of me as a matchmaker, that in my 25 to 30 years experience, I have never heard of, because it's not realistic. And if I was to go and find that and match these women with these men, it would never work. It would never work.
Right.
And I really had to take a step back and be like, wait a minute. She's talking about us women. We made her quit. Wow. Wow. That's something that we need to talk about. And I remember when I saw that interview, I was just like, oof.
Well,
But
someone's here, why is it okay for men to date multiple women, but it's not okay for women to date multiple men? And I feel like that's something that has slowed down a lot. Like, I think that women used to get a lot of bad commentary from that, like if you were to be dating multiple men or whatever have you. But now I think that it's goes for both. Like, I think that men are also knocked as well as women for dating multiple people at once. Like, it's not a flex. Like, it's not something
it's
that,
not flex.
yeah, I think that it's something that has become more known to society, that, being faithful, being loyal, settling down with one good woman, like that's something that I've been seeing is much more glorified now than
Right.
it was in the past. And then it's also where women are kind of on this rise, that it's not necessarily about this, like someone mentioned gender roles before, because women are doing so much more now for themselves and in relationships for their men, and doing certain things now in relationships that wasn't necessarily happening in the past. So I think that it is a double standard for sure, but I feel like it's definitely something that has kind of calmed down over the years.
Agreed. I feel like it definitely has calmed down over the years. But I don't think that we should. It's everything is very generalized, right? Everything is all women. all men. And the thing is, it all comes down to experience, right? What has been your personal experience in life? What did you grow up seeing? What did you see around wherever you lived, society, family, the experiences you went through, traumas, you name it. It all of that together can change somebody. And you really have to do the work in order for you to see it. So, one of the solutions here was, what life experiences have they gone through, and are we willing to understand it? Are we willing to sit there and be like, okay, why is it that they feel it's okay for them to do it, but when I do it, it's wrong? So that's one solution right there, where we need to try to understand not only ourselves but the other person as well.
I
Where
think solution. That's the biggest one. I think it's the biggest one. I think that when you actually take the time to understand someone and understand how they think, understand why they feel the way they do about certain things, where their emotional and mental states are at currently, and how you can help someone, not necessarily help them heal, because the healing process is really honestly on you, but
yep,
help them to see clear and to be able to maybe let go of some things that you're not going to make resurface in their life.
exactly.
That
Right.
time is a good solution to, be able to understand one another and create that connection so that there isn't double standards and misunderstandings.
Right, because it's okay to express our feelings. It'll be horrible if someone that we're with tells us that we cannot express ourselves. Don't express your feelings because you're wrong. What? What do you mean I'm wrong? What do you mean I'm wrong for expressing myself the way you haven't even asked me why I feel this way? The first thing we do in relationships or in a marriage is we like to point the finger. We like to blame the other person. We like to just be like, no, because you. And it's like, but wait a minute. What was it that you did that made me react this way? Why can't you ask me what was it about the situation, or what I did, or what did I say that made you feel this way? That made you react this way? The first thing we want to do is create a huge argument, and now everything is blown even worse out of proportion. We need to really talk and have a open discussion about it and be honest about it. And that's the truth. I mean, like I said, I've been guilty of it.
Right.
I've been guilty of it. I can't sit here and tell you, oh no, I have no. When I tell you, let me tell you something that I love about the person that I'm in love with. He puts me in my place. He
That.
checks me and he lets me know. And I don't feel no way about it. I really don't. I sit there and I listen. I sit there and I listen. And that's another solution. Listen. Listen to what was it about this action of yours that feels like a double standard? What was it? Listen. Don't get all defensive. You know what? Whatever. Like, I don't know who you're talking to. I don't know who you think you are. No. Listen. You are allowed to express yourself and have that freedom. You are. You are with the wrong person if they don't allow you to express yourself. Because at the end of the day, no one in this world is perfect. Absolutely no one.
Right. I think the number one thing too is two things is listening and communicating. So problems can't be solved without you expressing yourself, and you can't understand someone clearly without keeping your ears open and actually actively listening. Don't listen to respond, listen to understand. And that's
Right.
what I say all the time. You need to listen to understand and not listen to respond. It's not about having the last word. It's not about being right. It's about being on the same page and being able to move forward in a healthy relationship, and not allowing your past to resurface itself in your present relationship if you're trying to move forward and have something better in your life.
Exactly. And another solution is, it's also important to be respectful of others' rights and voices.
Yes, it is.
It is. It is, because just because it's not our experience doesn't mean that we shouldn't give it importance, that we shouldn't consider it, because that's not my experience, so why should I even? Why?
Like, that you lack empathy, and that it's not very likely that you're going to have a healthy relationship where you get a reciprocal respect and an open line of communication, because you're incapable of empathizing with somebody else's actual experiences that make them the human being that are standing in front of you. So
Right.
if I look at you and I want to be with you, but I'm not willing to empathize with your experiences or understand who you are, then it's not likely that we're going to be compatible, or that we're even going to have an understanding with each other. And that's where those double standards, and that's where miscommunications are going to come in.
Well, I'm happy we had a conversation about this, because a lot of men and women are talking about how there's double standards, but it only begins once they're married. So we need to talk about it now before the marriage parts come.
That's what we're saying. Like, somebody said in here when you were talking about you and Taylor about, like, oh, but that was only established once you were married. They're actually not married.
No,
So this is something that they're actively doing in their boyfriend girlfriend stage of their relationship. So you have to, like she said, get that down and have that set in stone in your relationship prior
yeah,
to even stepping into a marriage, because then you're setting your marriage up for failure.
absolutely. That's facts. Well, guys, that is the solutions that we have for you. Solutions on avoiding double standards in your relationship.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you for participating. Don't forget to follow us on TikTok, on Instagram. Like
Yes.
podcast on Instagram. Send us topics, send us questions. We are here for it. We're here for the spicy. We're here for the relationship advice. We're here for the good, bad, and in between. So throw it our way. We are so open to hearing everything that you want to know.
Yes. This is your girl, Sayani.
And this is your girl, Dari Marie.
And we're the Love Solutions Podcast. Thank you for watching and listening. And we'll see you soon.
Later.